behind the scenes at the East Lancashire Railway. Being closed down in January and February always seems unusual. That is of course with the exception of the track laying at Stubbins and our freight which supply ballast and rails there. All of our carriages are of a Mark I type, and our most prestigious are those on our dining train, seen here on the City of Wells. 2 of these carriages are degraded, and there has need to be a refurbishment undertaken. Inside the Buckley Wells carriage works in Bury we can see our first brake vehicle. This is the kitchen car, known as the Borough of Rossendale. This is where all the food is prepared, ready for the diner itself. 2 weeks later, rubbed down and with undercoat being applied as well as windows being fixed in, the other side has been completely undercoated and the carriage ends refurbished. This part of the kitchen car is for storage of plates and the doling out of food. As we can see, there are panels that need to be replaced here. 2 weeks later and the whole of the ceiling has been replaced and refreshed and the gaps suitably plugged up. The guard's brake compartment is to be totally refurbished and the brake itself will actually be removed. And here, 2 weeks later, we can see some of the electric heating which is being applied and the area will have water tanks in it. As a kitchen car this can get extremely hot and obviously the ceiling here needs to be replaced. This is for food preparation and the stainless steel walls are for hygienic purposes. Once again, 2 weeks later the ceiling has been fully replaced and we can see that the areas where windows are, there is an extractor fan to be fitted and the window suitably plated up. And after 2 weeks of refurbishment we can see here that externally both the undercoat and the gloss coat were coming along really nicely. The second carriage that was in for repair over these 2 months was that of the guard's brake generator car. Here we can see the roof where it's been painted and the apertures where the exhaust comes out, but also outside of the carriage was being refurbished and painted. With carriages that are in excess of 70 years old, there's a lot of rust, especially in the roof sections where they join the end of the carriage. And here we can see sections that have been ground out and are being subsequently replaced with new metal. The paint job itself is looking excellent on this east side. The ends of the carriage that face in the direction of travel also take a lot of weathering, and here we can see the amount of work that's been undertaken to bring this back into good condition. Painting from either end of this carriage, as you can see, is well progressed and the gloss is actually beginning to take. Also, the roof has been redone to keep the weather out from our first class paying passengers. The northern compartment here is used as an office for the train manager and for storage. And we can see that some of the paintwork has been touched up really nicely. The guard's compartment likewise very rarely sees a lick of paint, but take a look at this. What a wonderful job indeed. Here in a period of just 2 weeks we can see that the painting has gone ahead of pace and the quality is obvious. Other vehicles are in here for repainting also. Our very popular Craven's unit is seen here being rubbed down and repainted and also having something fettled.
No. Are they doing the A4 as well?
The Borough of Bury is normally the reserve coach for the dining train, but this has been bought out so that it can have its chocolate and cream repainted and substitute for a carriage with the rake which needs further repairs.
So for this Valentine's Day meal thing, are we having a static?
Buckley Wells is the base for the 3P20 group, who have refurbished many of the carriages we've seen on the railway.
Yeah.
They're currently ahead with this one here, And one of the interesting
Yeah, because
aspects
it's
of this
curving
is that
out.
the corners, which are pretty awkward and bent in two directions, you can actually now buy pre-stressed pieces, pre-made pieces that you can just slot on there and save yourself a lot of work.
Yeah,
Thank
right.
you, South Devon Railway. On the road adjacent to where all this work is going on, you will find the dining carriages themselves, and these will be out on static display on our Valentine Eve dining. At the end of its boiler certificate, the Union of South Africa came to reside in Castlecroft, and in this closed down period we can see that the A4 itself is being repainted before being repatriated to Scotland. In early December, a visit to Chestwheel by the Permanent Way people found that the track had sunk about 20 millimetres, just short of an inch. Through January we had had some rain, and it was interesting to go back here and see what was actually happening. Clearly visible was the wall to the rear, which had begun to collapse, and we can see it bowing here after it had been rebuilt last year. And in the bottom right hand corner of this photograph you may be able to see the signal cables. These cables had been buried on the surface about 2 years ago, and it's fairly obvious that they are now not at the surface. They are in fact standing proud of the slip, which is dipping downwards by about 2 to 3 inches. Another clear indication that the back wall of this landslip is beginning to move, and given the effects of climate change and heavy rainfall, we should certainly watch out for the potential for more movement. You have been watching an Atlantic video view of the East Lancashire Railway in Bury.